Happy to be joined by Patrick Renna. As many of you are very familiar with this guy playing the role of Hamilton Porter, aka the great Hambino. We'll get all to that a little later in this episode, but Patrick, just rediscovered you on social media, and man, you've been playing a little bit of golf.
Yeah, I have. I mean, playing golf is a broad term that can include a lot of different levels of golf. But I do love the sport, and I've been playing for a long time, actually.
Yeah, I watched like the was it a play a hole? Like, you kind of have like your own like little comedic uh kind of spin on these little golf videos
Yeah.
I'm watching. I imagine you've been having a lot of fun filming those.
Yeah. Well, there's something that's so great just about seeing a golfer and they say, "Oh, play a hole with me." And I don't know what it is about how you have to watch how it ends. Like it's just must be the game of golf. But then we just decide. I have some friends of mine that kind of we do mess around on these social media posts and we film them together. But we were like, how funny would it be if I just was that guy who is such a punk and cheats his whole round? So that was kind of the background story behind that one.
Well, I mean, every friend group in your golf group has that guy that's like
Yeah,
his
for sure.
his 81 is not a normal 81. So I think a
No.
lot of people can relate to that.
Unfortunately, that is me from time to time. It's not me all the time. A really good friend of mine is a full legit 8 or 10 handicap. He will not cheat ever, takes every stroke. It's ridiculous. And I'm not that guy either. So we'll just say that.
So you said you grew up playing golf. Do you watch much golf? Is it something that you will flip on the TV and watch the majors? What's your kind of background with that?
I'm kind of a Tiger guy, so
Mm-hmm.
it's been hard for me
You and
since
everybody
he's
else.
left the limelight. I know, but when I started too, I did a Tiger Woods commercial when I was like 15, and I forget, it was the one where a bunch of us were like carrying bags, and he was young. I didn't meet him though, but yeah, no, I love watching golf. It's one of my favorite sports to watch. Like the final Sunday of any major is amazing. You can even just pick up any tournament, any round, and just enjoy
Mm-hmm.
watching. I think the great thing about golf is it's the only sport where, for a moment, you can play like a pro. And so like there's something you can share in with him or her where you like, oh, I know what I would do in that scenario. In basketball, there's never a moment where Paul George and I are going to be on the same playing field. There's never a one-on-one game where I'm going to score once on Shaq. It's just not going to happen. Kobe, maybe if he would be nice to me, would have let me score. But other than that, that's it. So, but with golf, like Tiger Woods and I could play around and maybe on a hole, I tie him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's possible so there's something really cool about that sport. Now, you put 18 holes together and we're light years apart. Of course, like don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm nearly as good as these guys, but and still they're going to outdrive me by 150 yards. But I don't know. There's something really cool about the sport because of that.
That's such a good point. I asked my father-in-law watching football last weekend and said, if you were the running back and I gave you 10 carries in this game, how many yards would you get? And he's
None,
like,
zero.
he said zero. And I was, I'm such a, I'm so positive in the way I think is like, I'm the guy that think, you know what, I can get 30 but it's
Yeah.
just, it's so unrealistic, but that's just the way I think. And I probably should not be thinking that way, but you're exactly right. And that's the cool thing about golf is that
Yeah.
you and I could go play and I'm coming off of a week of hanging out with my buddies and you could sneaky
Yeah.
beat me on 9 holes, just me trying to find myself out there.
I think you went too far, but yes,
Okay. Hey,
I'm pretty sure you're a plus handicap.
No, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
and you're the
talking
guy.
one hole. I'm talking one hole.
Okay, one hole it is. One hole it is.
But yeah,
So,
you're right. It's cool. I mean, and like even on the other sports, I grew up playing basketball, and I'm not the tallest guy, but luckily I have a good 3-point shot, so it saved me. But even those sports, there are 14-year-olds Like there are junior high school teams that I wouldn't be able to play on now. So you're talking like 12, 13 year olds can crush me. It's just golf is a game of longevity. I mean, even look at that, like pros to be able to put 4 rounds together at Augusta is like, that's why they win, because they put those 4, like that would be so difficult for even the best golfer I know, you know? Anyway.
Well, that's a good point. I was able to put 3 rounds together at Augusta and wasn't able to put the 4th round together at Augusta. I was in the final group playing with Jordan Spieth, and I shot 81 on Sunday. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, there you go. I mean, talk about pressure, man. Like I get like nervous thinking about the pressure you actually had.
Yeah, no, it's but it's why you practice. It's why you it's kind of what you dream about as a kid. And that was definitely me. And yeah, it's a game that it definitely keeps you coming back. For me now, playing less, it's that one shot that you hit at the end of the round. Like if you have a bad day or whatever it is, or a putt that you make, next thing you know, you're like, wow, okay, I can do this. I'm coming back tomorrow. It's like a drug.
Sure. It is. It is.
And so we kind of talked a little bit about your golf content, but man, your social media, the rest of it, man, your videos are just hysterical. And I mean, some of my favorite videos are like you dancing the NFL theme song and the choreographed dance with these 2 other guys. Who are these guys and why are y'all so dialed in and in rhythm?
Well, okay, so on the NFL one, we got to give credit to the dance troupe that it's this husband and wife, Costin Mayer. I think I said their name right, but they're on Instagram. They originally did.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
They are so fun to watch. Yeah. So we posted it and we gave them cred and they loved it. And then people said, who did it better, us or them? Which, you know, everyone then said us, which I think we're all half kidding when we say it, because these 2 people actually know how to dance. The Chubby Gingers like to think we do. But so we took theirs and did that. But that's a funny question you asked, because the choreographer of our troupe is the unsung hero. She's actually a lifelong dancer, actress, and she is the wife of the biggest guy. So
okay. In
our first video, we called ourselves Triple X, Double X, and I'm XL because I'm the smallest. So the Triple X, his name's Crew, and his wife Lindsay is our choreographer, and she truly is we need to put together a behind the scenes of all of this at some point, because she's just yelling at us for 60 minutes to get our stuff together and knock it off and stop laughing and do it. Like she is like a drill sergeant.
60 minutes. I'm going to take the over on that. I'm going to take the over on the amount of takes that it took as well, because I mean, y'all, like if you put it frame by frame, like y'all are doing the exact same thing and you can't, like, I think you're in the front, you can't see the guys behind you. So you just got to hope they do it right. Yeah. I don't think I could have ever been a competitive dancer. It's impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Man, so what is your kind of creative process and all your social media stuff? You know, I've seen you do, you know, whether it be those videos or other, it just seems like in this content space, you've been able to kind of keep it light and fun.
Yeah, I think we'll just, you know, like I said, I have a few people that help me on it. Primarily one, she's I recruited her because she's Gen Z, so I needed that youthful look into all the social media. So she tells me if anything I'm doing is cringe or boomer, and I just listen to her. But we, you know, I don't know. We just come up with fun ideas, and you know, there's been a few that haven't made it, but we'll watch social media, do some trends, and then kind of do some original content. I like this golf stuff because it's more original content stuff, and I'm actually putting something out tomorrow, so we'll see how people like it. But I'm a little nervous about this.
I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited to see
this. This is just a full on, like, really short sketch, but it's not. So it's completely original content.
Love it.
It was just an idea I had. So if you don't see it up by the end of the day, it's because it bombed and I took it down.
I mean, some of my favorite videos you've done is the it's like the ginger shot video. I thought that was absolutely hysterical. Yeah. That one was great. Yeah. The go to the gym one. was I mean just hysterical. But
Yeah, that one was great. I watched Papa Swolio a couple of times. I was like, this would be funny if I did a little stitch or whatever, a little split screen off of him.
oh my goodness, it was great. Would you say that's probably been your favorite video you've put out? Which one your best one?
I don't know. The Lizzo dance, I think, got the most on Instagram. That one was
I
pretty
don't
popular.
know if I've seen that one. I need to. I mean, I've gone
Oh
all the way
yeah,
through. Okay, I need to go check that one out.
yeah. You have to check that one. I met her at
Oh wait, I have seen
I
this.
was
I have seen this. Now that because it
well,
was in
not
person.
don't watch the one where I met her though.
Okay, that's the one I've
So
seen. I
I
think.
met her in Hollywood. I was at a dinner with some buddies of mine at a fancy schmancy restaurant. And all of a sudden I look around and like I think I saw Babyface, and then I just saw like all these musicians dressed to the nines come in, and we're like, oh, I'm in a black t-shirt and jeans. I'm underdressed. And then we were like, what award show is it tonight? And we realized, oh, it was a big award show that night. So then I look over and I see Lizzo, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm such a big fan of Lizzo. And we get up and walk away, and I kind of look back, and then she's looking at me. And then I was like, no, she's not looking at me. And then I looked back and she was still looking, and she like waves. And then I waved back and then was going to leave. And my buddy was like, no, you need to go over there and meet her. So I
Hmm.
went over and met her. And then she's like, do you know my dance that's trending right now? And I blew it. And I was like, I don't know the dance. I'm sorry. Ah. And then so I went to with the other guys, and we learned it and put it out, and people loved it. So
I'm sure I've seen it. I feel like I've seen like every video on the internet. It's the most addicting thing watching all these videos on TikTok or Instagram. And man, Lizzo, meeting her in person, that's been amazing. I mean, I take her dang Lizzo Peloton classes just to keep me
yeah.
pumped up.
Oh,
I
do
mean,
you
it's
really?
oh yeah.
Yeah, she so cool. You always get nervous when you meet these huge celebrities. Like, are they going to be mean? Are they going to not want to talk to you? She was amazing. She was so sweet, and we had such a great time meeting her.
That's really good to hear. And all this social
Yeah,
media stuff that we're kind of talking about, we can, if you want to follow Patrick, it's Patrick Renna on all of his socials, and you definitely need to check it out. And I definitely need to go make sure I know what Lizzo video we're talking about, so I can maybe I can even recreate it. That would be pretty sick.
give it a go. Give it a go.
Tell you what, I wish my hands matched my feet when I dance, but it's not that great. So we'll have to see. It might take me a little bit. But Patrick, I know you're most remembered for your acting career, and like we mentioned, The Sandlot, The Big Green, a couple of my favorite movies growing up. I kind of want to know what started getting you into acting.
In Boston, which is where I'm from, I would do school plays and things like that. So I always had a love for acting. Uh, I did like a little modeling as a kid, for clothes companies and things like that. But it wasn't really until I moved to LA that it became a reality. Um, and I moved here when I was 13. But my first big job, my first job was the Sandlot. So I just kind of hit the ground running, and was lucky enough to get working right when I moved here. So it wasn't really something that I had like longed for or had,
Hmm.
this deep like passion to do. I mean, I had a passion to do it, but again, luckily I just started and it was what I did. So I didn't have any experience in um, not being successful from the beginning, I think, until I got a little older. Then I started to experience that sort of like, oh shit, you don't get every single job you audition for. Oh wow, it's been a minute since I worked. Oh, I got to support myself, and that sort of struggle in Hollywood didn't come until my teen years, my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, so you've seen the highs and lows of this
Yeah.
profession, and I can relate that so much in my professional golf career. I felt like I saw the highest of highs and I saw the lowest of lows. How were you able to handle that over the years, and what was your kind of what got you through it all?
I think, I mean, what got me through it is just probably family and friends and, you know, things like that. I think the way you just manage it is recognizing the importance of things in the bigger picture, you know.
Hmm.
And you know, Bryan Cranston was interviewed once and said something along the lines of like, as an actor, you go into that audition room and you give it everything you got, and you leave your heart, you know, on the table, and then when you leave that room, and the second the door closes, you let it all go because it's out of your hands at that moment. And as long as you gave it your all, you can be proud of it because it truly is out of your hands. They could not hire you because your hair is too curly, or it doesn't, or you're you're 2 inches too tall or too short, or, you know, and it really does. It's true. I mean, I produced a movie about a decade ago, and we had a little audition process, and I saw that in action, like not fantastic actors and actresses coming through and not hiring them because of blah, you know, or for the silliest reasons. So I think that keeps me grounded, like concepts like that. Good family, good friends, you know. I was in a class, and a class that had a good foundation and support for actors, and, you know, things like that.
That's really interesting. And one of the things that I kind of relate to that people would tell me at the time was your expectations are too high. And I think because I had so much success early in my career, it was really hard to lower my expectations because I knew what I was capable of. Was that something that you kind of struggled with?
Yeah, I mean, again, my expectations weren't high because they were probably right where I got to immediately.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember meeting my first agent, and she said, "Don't be surprised if you don't work for 6 months." And again, my first audition, Sandlot, and I booked it. So, what I think was tough for me is I went on from Sandlot, got home, auditioned for Pauly Shore, was gone again on Son-in-Law, like 2 weeks later. Got back from Son-in-Law, did a few other movies, then off to Austin to do Big Green. So that first 5 years where, you know, I did all this work, it was, and then I truly worked a lot consistently through my late teens. I think it didn't get difficult until maybe I moved out, and then
Hmm.
I was on my own, and, you know, um, other things came into the picture that were important too, like getting a girlfriend, and,
Yeah.
you know, like that sort of scene became important. That's when life started being a bit more difficult, and maybe the expectations were set too high by myself as a kid. You know, like that's where things were tough because, and hey, I never really had it that tough. Like, you know, luckily um, I was able to be an actor my whole career and support myself. And I know, you know, there are others that have had to do a lot worse.
Hmm.
You know, I think also giving back has helped me. I've done some nonprofit stuff over the years, and, you know, just helping others, I think, is important. I saw a meme on social media the other day that was like, "Hey, you're having a bad day. Why don't you try helping someone, see if that fixes it?" And I was like, wow, it's just not about you so much, you know? And the second you start making it all about you and all your problems, it's just too dramatic. And so I think that's helped. But anyway, your question was expectations. And I think, I don't think I ever set my sights too high and didn't achieve it. I think I achieved what I wanted, and then learned what crashing and burning is a little like. And that's where it got interested, you know?
Yeah,
Interesting.
no, that totally makes sense. And I don't want to talk about our careers like this because it's, you hold on to it so tight. And
Yeah.
I do want to ask some questions about the Sandlot because I think it is an instant classic, something that,
Yeah.
when y'all finished the movie, I think one of the things that surprised me about reading about the Sandlot was that y'all only filmed for 42 days. So it probably feels like it was over and done with so quickly in your mind.
Yeah. I mean, it was so long ago that it doesn't really feel that way to me. But also, we had like a baseball camp for a couple weeks before the shoot too. So it really was more like 2 months for us. Um, and then pretty fast after that, I think we were on a week or two trip doing publicity. So,
Mm,
it was kind of our life. Um, yeah, and also realize that 42 days I don't think included weekends
really?
because I'm pretty sure we had the weekends off. Yeah, so it was 42 days, but that's 5 days a week is 8 weeks, so it's 2 months. So it was
Okay.
the
A
entire
little
summer
longer.
for us. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But you're right. It was a short schedule for a big movie like that. Like they jammed it in and got it done. Yeah.
yeah, I found that to be super interesting. And, how old were you at the time when you were casted for the Sandlot?
13.
13. And I read that it was actually supposed to be casted for like 8, 9 year olds. So that was something that was interesting to me.
I think even younger. Yeah, I think like 6, 7, or 7, 8.
That's entirely too
And
young looking at it now.
well, that's what they realized. So they had actually cast the whole cast already. I don't know that they had contracts signed, but they had a whole cast picked out. They went through the whole audition process, and then the director went, "Woo, these kids are too young to be saying half this stuff. Like it doesn't, pee drinking crap face out of a 7-year-old is
Especially
a
your
little
character.
awkward." Yeah, exactly. But you might be right. It might have been 7 or 8. I don't know that it was at 6. But yeah, so they recast. They recast the whole thing.
Man, that's insane. And just thinking about too, like the chewing tobacco scene, just writing that up for a 7-year,
Yeah.
8-year old. And by the way, what was in the chewing tobacco? Surely they didn't give you guys chewing tobacco to use.
No, they didn't. It was pretty awful though. It was beef jerky and licorice, and the licorice was pretty nasty.
Oh man, so how
Like
long would you
that
keep that in your
combo.
mouth? Do you remember? Like, was it just
Yeah.
something that you would just wake up and still taste it the next day?
No, it wasn't that bad, but it was pretty gross. I mean, we put it in and we're like, whoa, this is terrible. And then, pretty soon after we were spitting it out. The thing that was really gross was the puke was this split pea soup, and they just dumped it all over
Oh, I
us.
didn't
And it
think
was
about that.
gross.
I
Yeah,
didn't
with
think
like
about the
chunks of
puke.
ham in it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds terrible. Hey, it's the acting though. I love it. You got to do
Yeah, you got to do
it.
it.
I think one of the things that I was disappointed about was to find out that the beast was like a puppet.
Well, no, there were 3 dogs. There were 3
Oh, there were
real
dogs.
dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read there was like a
Yeah.
puppet
So
for the dog.
there was a puppet for the scenes that were kind of suspended reality. So there's a few scenes where you see like a close up of a paw and it's massive, or the dog's mouth. And that sort of represented our imagination. But then you can see in the running scenes and a lot of the scenes, it's a real dog.
Yeah, no, okay, that makes sense. It's kind of like Jaws, right? Like when in those
Exactly,
Jaws
yeah.
movies, right? It's probably right around the same times as were filmed. So, man, that makes a whole lot of sense. But your character, Hamilton Porter, looking at that character, to me, it was like the kid on the block who definitely had older brothers and definitely knew too much.
Yeah, he definitely was that guy. I mean, yeah, I don't know about know too much though. Maybe just right.
I mean, I just think about like the one-liners, just knowing how to make s'mores, just the "you're killing me" Smalls line. I mean, just some of those lines, man, were great. Like, how'd y'all come up with those?
A lot of them were written. A lot of them were in the script. The big argument scene was actually originally written for Benny, and they switched. The director changed his mind on the day and had me do it instead. And then because I think he just didn't want his hero Benny to like do all this trash talking, but he's like, who could though? Ham. So that was a little shift, and then some of the stuff was written in the backdrop scene. The director had a bullhorn and he was in the dugout and he would just yell. So there was a little improv. He would improv like new lines for me to say, and then I'd repeat them. I mean, there was definitely improv throughout. We kind of, figured things out being on set, but also a lot of it was written. I mean, the director is the writer, the director, and the narrator, and he put his heart and soul into this movie. So, and it really shows.
And your greatest improv was that your line, "you're killing me, Smalls." Actually, that wasn't the line.
Yeah, you kill me, Smalls was the line. So I switched it up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, just it makes sense though. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
hell of an
right.
improv
Just
job by you.
rolls off the tongue a little better.
Well, you mentioned the director putting his heart and soul of it, and when that movie came out, it when did y'all feel like this movie was going to become a classic? Was it right when it came out? Was it years down the road?
Obviously, when you're on set, you can kind of tell by the the attitudes of the crew and cast if it's going well. And so we knew
Right.
that it was good. We knew that we were on to something, but there's no way we could have known that it would be sort of what it's turned into. um, and I don't even think until years later did we really see how, when it came out on DVD it did great, and then it started,
Hmm.
oh wow, people loved this movie. But then just the 20th anniversary, people coming around, new generations being passed down from parents to their kids, and then the 25th and now the 30th. So
So
it's just kind of been a snowball effect, really.
that movie just stands the test of time, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, it's
really is
wild.
incredible. I can't wait to show it to my kids one day. I have a daughter. I assume she'll be into baseball, but definitely gonna make her see it. If not
I
that,
love it.
she'll watch The Big Green, and that
There you
was.
go.
I mean, honestly, that one's lost. It's one of my favorites, and was one I always rotated in and out of the car on trips. I mean,
Yeah.
that movie was awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks, man.
But were you potentially the worst goalie of all time to win a championship?
Um, God, yeah, I think the answer to that's yes. I mean, I
I
was
mean,
pretty terrible.
I
I
mean,
at
it
least
was
started off the worst. I'd like to think I got a little better, but it was not a good beginning.
dude, the way they like kind of scripted up the just like the ninjas and the stuff that you would see was that was expert writing, because I watched it the other day, and that's why I typed you in on my social media. I was like, what is he up to today? Or just
Yeah,
in general. Um and it was those scenes of you just picturing ninjas and all of these like motorcycles. I was like, that movie was absolutely an absolute classic as well.
yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, that was a fun one. I was a little older, but it was a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of the last two questions or just the last question on the Sandlot and the Big Green. So you're 13-ish years old, and you got Wendy Peppercorn, and then you got this English teacher who I looked up right after I watched the Big Green, or the Big Green. And I don't know why I'm saying the Big Green Egg. I'm just used to the green egg
Oh, I know,
smoker.
right? Yeah, yeah.
uh, but I mean, between those two, I'm just picturing young Patrick dealing with those two on set had to be something that at that age was probably like, oh man.
Well, Wendy Peppercorn was only there for a day, so
Okay.
luckily she was in and out. Olivia was definitely difficult for us young guys. We were filmed with her the whole 2 months. Um, that was not easy. I'm pretty sure we all fell in love with her for 2 months, but she was so nice that I guess that made it feel better.
Just that sweet
Um,
English voice, right? Just like
yeah,
hard not
she
to
was
love.
great. She was amazing. But luckily for us young guys on Sandlot, Wendy was in and out, so it was over before we knew
Man, those are some great movies. And now you're a father. I'm as well. I'm a father, and I see you got your kids involved in sports. And you were a goalie, you were a catcher. I see you doing golf content now. Which way are
it.
your
Yeah,
kids? Which direction are you pushing your kids in, or is it kind of just whatever they're interested in?
I do baseball with my oldest, and soccer. He plays baseball on Saturdays and soccer on Sundays. My youngest is 3, so he's not in anything yet, but he's a bruiser, so I can see him being the real sports guy. And then I did take my oldest golfing. We played a little on the range, and did a couple holes, and he seemed to like it. So we'll see.
I love it. And
Yeah.
I saw the picture. I guess this was your oldest Flynn, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
I saw the picture of his first black eye. That was pretty incredible. Just
I know. Pretty funny, huh? I don't even know how. I forget how he got it. Might have been baseball, actually. Yeah.
if you know, you know.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. It was pretty great. He had a fun time. there's so many comments too, like, "Oh, you put the raw steak on his face," but if you look, I had Saran
I
wrap
saw
on
it.
it
I
because I
saw
was
it. I
like,
saw it.
"Yeah, I couldn't do it." It was
Can't,
too. I was like, "This just feels wrong."
we can't cancel you, man. We can't cancel you quite yet.
Yeah, that's right. No, not yet. I had Saran wrap.
Well, I mean, I imagine that you're a pretty recognizable guy. Has your has your oldest kind of gotten the feel of when you're out in public and you have to take pictures with anyone? Like, does he know who you are quite yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's starting to understand because he doesn't complain when people ask. So I
Mm-hmm.
think he's used to it. Um, but I don't know. I don't know what he's processing when it happens. I think more he's just like, okay, you done? Great, Dad. Now let's talk about what I needed. I think it's more
Right.
like that.
That makes a lot
I
of
don't. He's
sense.
definitely not impressed. I'll tell you that.
How many people call you Smalls on accident? Like thinking that's like that was
It
your name of the
happens from
show.
time to time. Yeah, yeah. And then other people will correct him, and they'll start yelling at each other. It's great.
just some classic hardos just yelling at each other about
Yeah,
baseball movies.
that's right.
It's amazing, man. Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer. I just wanted you to talk a little bit about. So I looked up and it saw that you had partnered with a LA-based fashion designer, Jesse Wilner, co-founded a baseball-inspired sportswear company, Hambino, and you'll
Yeah.
donate a portion of your proceeds to the youth sports organizations to underserved communities through the Hambino Foundation. Just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've seen shirts over the years that people wore, and so knew that there was something people were interested in, and I just kind of wanted to do something myself,
Mm-hmm.
that and maybe kind of I wanted to level it up from just simple merch line to like clothes that people would actually like to wear and be comfortable. So uh, that's why I brought in Jessie, because she's the more fashionable of the two of us, and we just put together a cool line that it's more of like an athleisure line. So it's, sweats, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, some hoodies, things like that. We have a cool jersey in there. And it's, one of the processes we went through to do it was, would I wear it? So we were really cautious to make sure it was comfortable. And I think the answer is yes. And we make it all here in LA. And so it's American made. And yeah, it's great. And then, yes, a portion of the proceeds goes to the Hambino Foundation, which we also started. And like you said, goes to supporting underserved communities. So that's just a cool other part of it, and a little giving back,
No, man, that's awesome. And I think that perspective, like you talked about a little earlier, talking about just your career and how you were able to kind of deal with some of the ups and downs, and how you just give back. And this is a great example, man. Like, you got an awesome brand where you got, your character, Hamilton Porter, the guy pointing for his moonshot, but also giving back at the same time. And definitely need to go check that out and need to get some gear as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you coming on. This was a really fun conversation, and really, I just want to play around a golf with you. I feel like you and I could go take on some guys on the golf course, and if you're not making pars, you're going to write down a par.
Well, let's do it. We'll tell him this is my bud. He's never played before, so go easy on him, and then you'll just crush him, and we'll take him for everything they're worth.
Yeah, no, something along those lines. Even maybe just wear something where I wouldn't be recognized, and
that's right.
We're gonna go crush some dudes. But I look forward.
I love it. Where do you live? Are you on the East Coast?
I'm in Alabama. Yeah, Birmingham.
Oh yeah, you told me that. Right. Okay. Well, I love it. Let's do it.
I get out on the West Coast,
or I'm out that way. Let's hit each other up. I'd love to. You can give me some lessons.
Absolutely, man. I get you dialed in too, and maybe your future videos will be you like breaking 70 or something instead of just like the net 7 or the net 6. So who knows? Who knows what's ahead?
We're gonna have to play more than one round together. But yes, thank you. I love it.
Who knows what's ahead, man, and who knows what's ahead for you too. And I'm looking forward to watching.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, and yeah. Talk soon. Hey, maybe win that 4th round of the Masters. That'll be one I'm going to watch.
Heck yeah, man.
You're going into the weekend again. I'm watching, and I hope you win it this time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate you, Patrick.
All right. Thanks, man.